What is up, guys? What is up? So, as I guarantee you, most of you already know that over the weekend, Saturday morning, early Saturday morning, Iran was attacked by Israel and the United States, starting off the Iran war. This is a full-on regime change war orchestrated by the United States and Israel. It has already caused 6 American soldiers' lives. You have Israelis being killed in Israel, you have Iranian citizens being killed, and you have neighboring countries like in Dubai getting bombed as well. So we are already seeing big catastrophic consequences that have resulted in the decision to start this war by the United States. Now, they did take out Khomeini, the Ayatollah. That was actually very surprising and very impressive that they were able to take him out the first or second day within, less than 24 hours they took him out. So there is a lot of stuff that's coming out of it. I think that this war is very dangerous, very catastrophic, can destroy our economy, could kill hundreds of thousands of people. And I have to admit, it was not what I voted for. I remember Nikki Haley, when she was primaried, running on an Iran war, and I remember being so against that. And I was so excited that Trump came back because I thought there's no way Trump was going to go to war with Iran. Well, millions and millions, over hundreds of millions of dollars donated by Zionist Israelis to get Trump to win has obviously proved that he is doing what the Israelis want, because the Israelis obviously want Iran to be taken out. Israel wants to be the dominant force in the Middle East. Even Mike Huckabee, the U.S. ambassador in Israel, has semi-revealed that he'd be fine with them taking it all. Even though in that interview with Tucker Carlson, he kind of backtracked his comments a little bit, it was a little bit revealing that, hey, some out there might be justified taking it all because the Jews think it's God's chosen land. But anyway, there's a lot to unpack, so let's get into it, shall we? Boom! So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and hit the bell on my YouTube channel at Townsley R. Follow me on X at Ryan Townsley. And also, I have, in the last hour, just created a Facebook page, Townsley R. So follow my Facebook page as well. It would help me out a lot. So I think we should start off by just going through the regime change history in the last 25 years. So in the last quarter century, obviously, we tried regime change in Afghanistan after the 9/11 attacks. This took 2 decades, but the Taliban obviously control it now, so that was a complete failure. We had the war in Iraq that gave rise to extremist groups like ISIS. That ended up being a failure. The Libya and Syria regime change efforts have also become failures. Obviously, warlords and different terrorist organizations run Libya, with Syria as well. You know, these countries we've had war, we've spent trillions of dollars, we've destroyed our economy multiple times. American lives have died, civilian lives have died, all for these regime change efforts that have not worked. So obviously, I am going to be skeptical when we try it this time, because if it didn't work Afghanistan, Iraq, Libya, and Syria, how the hell is it going to work in Iran? And I get they took out the Ayatollah. They took out him and his family, allegedly, his family also. But I just heard that they have appointed a new Ayatollah who might even be more extreme than Khomeini. And you have other Shiite tribes that look up to the Ayatollah, that see the Ayatollah as a religious leader. So by taking out a religious leader, that is going to embolden a lot of terrorist groups across the world. You already saw what happened in Texas. You will see more of that because of the decision to attack Iran, to start regime change. These are the consequences of starting a war. Now, there's countries like Lebanon, Yemen, Iraq, and Turkey who apparently, allegedly, are supporting Iran in this effort. Hezbollah, obviously, the Houthis, you have Iranian-backed militias that are all basically considered, what did they call it? The axis of resistance. So the axis of resistance, including militias and terrorist groups that are primarily Islamic, they will be supporting Iran, and they will be trying to kill civilians. They will be trying to kill U.S. Soldiers, Israelis, and you will see terrorist attacks across the United States and across the world. I hate to say that. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, if Biden didn't open the border. Yeah, obviously Biden opened the border and that caused a lot of chaos. But because Biden opened the border, and then because Trump has poked the bear and escalated the situation to an insane level, you might start seeing these. So please, God, I hope that this doesn't happen. Please be safe out there, everybody, because, you know, we are living in a scary, scary situation. And then you also have the Strait of Hormuz, which has 20% of oil, the world's oil, go through this bit of water. Now, Iran has designated that the Strait of Hormuz is closed, and any ships going through the Strait of Hormuz will be blown up, will be destroyed. Now, the United States, according to this, disputes the claim, but how the hell is the United States going to control Iran in the Strait of Hormuz? If ships are taking oil back and forth, then obviously Iran's going to blow them up. This is going to cause oil prices to absolutely skyrocket, and you will see gas prices go up. Now, the counter argument to this is yes, Trump took out Maduro. We're trying to seize Venezuelan oil, and I think that was the goal. I think the goal in Venezuela, it wasn't about terror. It wasn't about cartels. It wasn't about freeing the Venezuelans. No. That's not what that was about. That was about seizing the oil. Because now, with the situation in Iran, America needs to control some of the oil prices. So, as you can see, obviously these wars, like the Venezuelan war, I believe was a whole lie now. You had conservatives and warhawks saying, see, the Venezuelans are happy. They're celebrating. They're happy. But it's like, yeah, but your war, taking out Maduro, that was all just to take the oil. That's what I said from the start, and people thought I was crazy. Now, let's listen to what Donald Trump had to say recently today. He gave a speech here.
Over the past 36 hours, the United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury, one of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offensives the world has ever seen. Nobody's seen anything like it. We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense systems. Just now it was announced that we knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. Last night, all over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives. They could have done something 2 weeks ago, but they just couldn't get there. Earlier today, CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action.
And now it's up to 6. So the latest update is 6. This video came out hours ago. So now we're at 6. And to also add on to what he was saying about the Iranians celebrating, you have a lot of war hawks on the conservative side using the Iranians celebrating as justification for this war. Okay. And I disagree with that completely. Because obviously the Iranian people, they don't want to be under the Ayatollah leadership. They would rather be involved in a democratic group. But not all the Iranians feel that way. There are a ton of Iranians that these conservatives don't even talk about that are protesting against this war as well, along with the groups that I mentioned that are part of the axis of resistance that are trying to go against this and preserve the regime. I mean, like, let's just flip it for a second. Let's say another country invaded the United States and they did regime change on Trump. Now, there's going to be some people celebrating, obviously, Democrats, depending on how crazy they are. But not everybody's going to be happy about regime change if Trump gets switched out. And then are us Americans just going to bow down to the new country that controls the United States? See how that works? It's very, very complicated. So I don't like how the war hawks are using the Iranians celebrating as some sort of justification to do this war. I think it's insane. And it also is kind of concerning because it paints this picture that the U.S. government cares more about what the Iranian people want versus what the American citizens want. Because 80% of American citizens are against this war, even though 80% of Iranian citizens are for this war. What does that tell you? That tells you that the U.S. government cares more about what the Iranians want versus what the Americans want, just like how they are with the Israelis. But let's continue.
As one nation, we grieve for the true American patriots who have made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation, even as we continue the righteous mission for which they gave their lives. We pray for the full recovery of the wounded and send our immense love and eternal gratitude to the families of the fallen. And sadly, there will likely be more.
This is so sad to me, guys. This is horrible. Likely to be more. How many? Because I don't think 6 American soldiers' lives is worth this mission. Trump has already lost me. If we're going to analyze the war up until this moment, we're analyzing the last 3 days up until now. Yeah, we took out the Ayatollah, but I don't think that's worth 6 American lives, especially since the new Ayatollah is allegedly way more extreme. So I just think it's disgusting that we're sacrificing our soldiers for this mission that most Americans don't even want. It's sickening.
Before it ends, that's the way it is. Likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization. They have waged war against civilization itself. Our resolve, and likewise that of Israel, has never been stronger. America is now, again, the richest, most powerful nation in the world by far. But the only reason we enjoy the quality of life that we do and the freedom and security is we have done things that others are unable to do. But it's because of warriors who are willing to lay down their lives to do battle with our enemies. And they do battle better than anybody. An Iranian regime armed with long-range missiles and nuclear weapons would be a dire threat to every American. We cannot allow a nation that raises terrorist armies to possess such weapons would allow them to extort the world to their evil will. Not going to let it happen. We're not happening to us, and we're not going to let it happen to others. The United States has the strongest military the world has ever seen. I rebuilt our military in my first term. There's never been a military like we possess. And frankly, there's nobody even close, but we are now using that military for good. We want to have it for good purpose. We're undertaking this massive operation not merely to ensure security for our own time and place, but for our children and their children, just as our ancestors have done for us many, many years ago. This is the duty and the burden of a free people. These actions are right and they are necessary to ensure that Americans will never have to face a radical, bloodthirsty terrorist regime armed with nuclear weapons and lots of threats. For almost 50 years, these wicked extremists have been attacking the United States while chanting the slogan, "Death to America," or "Death to Israel," or both. They are the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. We are the world's greatest and most powerful nation, so we can do something about what they do. These intolerable threats will not continue any longer. I once again urge the Revolutionary Guard, the Iranian military, police, to lay down your arms and receive full immunity or face certain death. It will be certain death. Won't be pretty. I call upon all Iranian patriots who yearn for freedom to seize this moment, to be brave, be bold, be heroic, and take back your country. America is with you. I made a promise to you, and I fulfilled that promise. The rest will be up to you, but we'll be there to help. Thank you. God bless you to our incredible warriors, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
There was a lot to unpack there. And one of the biggest things that makes me cringe the most is go back and listen to Donald Trump's rhetoric and his talking points in 2016. He was fully against regime change war. He called out Obama for it. He called out Bush for it. Those 4 countries, Libya, Syria, Iraq, and Afghanistan, he was critical of all those regime changes. And up until they decided to bomb Iran, he didn't seem like he wanted to do regime change. And the funny thing is, last year, when they had the 12-day war, you had Republicans saying, he doesn't want regime change. This isn't about regime change. Nobody wants regime change. And now the war hawks, including Donald Trump, are pushing for regime change. And what's even crazier is if you compare the rhetoric and the talking points that they're saying today, they mirror what they were saying during the Iraq war. It's the same talking points. We can't let them have a nuclear weapon. We can't let terrorism win. We have to stop them. We have to change regime. We have to bring peace in the Middle East. They said that during Iraq. Now I get it. Iraq and Iran are different countries, different terrains, different populations, a whole different war, whole different scenario. I'm not saying the war tactics and situation is the same. I'm saying the propaganda is the same. And that's what gives me the creeps. And that's why I truly think that when Trump ran in 2024, the Israeli lobby, including Miriam Adelson and Mark Levin, all of them, right? They probably approached Trump and said, look, if Kamala Harris wins, you're going to go to jail. So we're going to give you $100 million, $200 million and make sure that you win. And then we're going to buy up with the Ellison family. We're going to control AI with Oracle. And the Ellison family is going to make this big deal with Paramount and Warner Brothers, and basically the Zionists and the pro-Israelis are buying our government and they're buying our media. I mean, it's so obvious. And for all those defending the war, it's like you're only defending the war because you're so fixated on the identity of Trump. You love Trump, you support Trump, you're loyal to Trump, you think everything that Trump does is 4D chess. Well, I'm sorry. I think Trump is way over in his head in this, and I don't even think Trump's really calling the shots on this. You think Trump is a military expert? No. I think people like Lindsey Graham, the biggest warmongers on the planet, they're calling the shots.
Is President Trump finished the job that President Reagan failed to do? I am a big admirer of Ronald Reagan, but I'm here to tell you that Donald Trump, in my opinion, is the gold standard for Republicans, maybe any president, and when it comes to foreign policy. Maduro, everybody talked about him. Well, Donald Trump's got him in jail. Cuba's next. They're going to fall. This communist dictatorship in Cuba, their days are numbered. The Iranian regime, the mothership of international terrorism, is about to collapse. The captain of the ship, the Ayatollah, is stone cold dead. All is President.
And the irony is Lindsey Graham, when Trump ran in 2016, was a never Trumper. J.D. Vance, never Trumper. All these people that Trump has surrounded himself in his second term are people that tried to destroy him in 2016, are war hawks, warmongers, people that supported the Iraq war. And the other thing is Lindsey Graham is already celebrating. See, you have people coming after me on Twitter because they're saying, you're jumping to conclusions, you're assuming things, blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, the Warhawks are the ones that are jumping to conclusions, and they're the ones that are already celebrating. There's a new Ayatollah, and he's more extreme, Lindsey. And they're going to put up a fight. Iran's going to put up a fight. They're probably going to get destroyed, but they will kill Americans, Israelis, and citizens in the Middle East in general. Now, here's another thing. Charlie Kirk, during the 12-Day War, before Charlie Kirk was killed, he was against regime change. Charlie Kirk, if alive today, I don't want to speak for him, but according to his statements during the 12-Day War, they probably would have aligned with this. Listen to how Charlie Kirk views regime change.
President Trump understands his base extraordinarily well. He knows that his base does not want another Iraq. He does not want Libya, does not want a civil war or bedlam where the United States is left carrying the bag. But also President Trump has been morally clear for a decade. Iran should not have a nuclear weapon. And President Trump has the talent, the expertise to be able to thread that needle. The generation that I represent, Jesse, the under 30 crowd, they absolutely are very war weary. Many of them voted for President Trump on college campuses because they did not want to see a Joe Biden or George Bush philosophy where we get into this endless conflict where we're sending hundreds of billions of dollars. I think President Trump will be able to balance those two things while defending our allies, saying that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon without having to deploy a single American troop or even having America involved from the sky. President Trump can get that deal done while fulfilling the mandate that the voters gave him.
And it's so sad because Charlie was wrong. Charlie had hope and love in his heart, and Charlie doesn't want regime change. He doesn't want war. He was so against the Iraq war. And the younger generation, the college students that he went to, campus to campus to campus to campus, they're all against regime change. They're against this war. The only people on the Republican side that are for this war mostly are the 55 and older crowd, the Fox News viewers that are war hawks, that are establishment Republican voters. And you're going to see the midterms cooked. You're going to see conservatives go against this. And then I'm not going to play this whole clip because we're running short on time. But I mean, the new Charlie Kirk show is basically saying that Charlie probably would have been semi-supportive of this war, which I don't think he was. I think it's weird that Turning Point is speaking for him. You know, and then Pete Hegseth comes out and declines to rule out potential brutes on the ground, which I get it. Like, Pete Hegseth doesn't want to go on TV and tell everybody the strategy because that will just blow the surprise against the enemy. But you might see boots on the ground. They're not ruling that out. You already have 6 Americans died. They might say, well, 6 Americans already died anyway. We might as well just send boots on the ground. Because these war hawks, they really don't care about death. The fact that you have war hawks on Twitter celebrating and thanking these service members who died is actually kind of disgusting to me. Why would you celebrate that? They died. This is a tragedy. Yeah, Trump's beating them. Trump's a hero. Trump's better than Reagan. He's taking out Iran. He's taking out the terrorists. Israel is our greatest ally. That's what they're saying, but people are dying and they don't even care about the people that are dying. It's absolutely disgusting. It's just sickening to me, and it makes me sad, you know? It really makes me sad. You know, Benjamin Netanyahu is happy, he's giddy. This is what Benjamin Netanyahu's vision and goal has been. This is what he's wanted to do for so long. He wanted to destroy Iran, right? And you can see, you know, Saudi Arabian oil fields are now being attacked. What else we got here? We got a couple more clips here. I mean, look at this. Yeah. Just destruction. Killing. And then this is what happened in Texas. Austin, Texas shooter identified, can't pronounce that. A naturalized U.S. citizen born in Shanghai. He was wearing a sweatshirt that said property of Allah. Yeah, he went in and shot and killed a bunch of people in Texas. In Austin. And obviously I'm not like saying this is 100% Trump's fault. Obviously this guy has to take accountability. He's obviously evil and part of radical Islam. But this is what happens. You attack Iran, you start a war, you open up the can of worms, and the dominoes start to fall. You attack Iran, that happens. What happens after that? Terrorists across the world get emboldened and start killing. Iran starts calling their proxies to attack different countries in the Middle East that support that support the U.S. and Israel. People start dying. And the United States knows this ahead of time. And the United States and Israel know that, hey, terrorist attacks are going to happen. American soldiers are going to get killed. Civilians are going to be killed. That's the risk that they are willing to take. But it's not the risk that I'm willing to take. I don't support this at all. Yeah, I mean, it's horrible. The whole thing is just horrible. Oh, and this is the video that the war hawks don't want you to see. Protesters in Pakistan outraged by the airstrikes on Iran smashed windows at the U.S. consulate. Say, oh, all the Iranians, they're celebrating. See, Iranians want this, so we need to do it. No. There's other people around the world that are pissed. This is causing civil war. This is causing chaos and destruction and distress in the Middle East. This is making the Middle East weaker by doing this. Another Iranian strike hits Dubai, sending smoke billowing across the city. And then our boy Nick, right? Everybody hates Nick Fuentes, our favorite anti-Semite. This was a year and a half ago he said this. A year and a half ago. Everybody called him crazy. Everybody said, Trump's the peace president. No new wars. Trump would never do regime change. That's what they said. That's what they said. And they called Nick crazy for this.
But now they want J.D. Vance to be the vice president. He said that he wants to give Israel the weapons they need to bomb Iran and destroy their nuclear program. We voted for Donald Trump because we don't want any more wars in the Middle East, and we don't want a war with Iran now. No more wars! 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 I will not vote for Donald Trump until he can give a commitment that we will not go to war with Iran.
The younger generation hates this war, guys. I'm telling you, this is going to destroy the midterms. The MAGA movement is dead. You go on Twitter and it's the Hodge twins versus like Officer Tatum. Like you got Ben Shapiro versus Tucker Carlson. I mean, the MAGA movement is completely split. And I, myself, am not going to vote in these midterms because I am totally against the Epstein file handling. I'm totally against this war. I feel betrayed. I feel absolutely betrayed by this. So let's just react to a couple more clips here. This is what Nick Fuentes said just recently. I think this was on Saturday.
So why are we against this conflict? For me, let me tell you precisely, why am I against regime change in Iran? It's not because of blowback. It's not because of mission creep. It's not because of casualties even or cost. Because all of those arguments, those might not work. Those things are genuine concerns. But in the end, that's not really the root of the problem. The root of the problem, my issue with Iranian regime change, is that we are creating an Israeli superpower that not even we will be able to restrain. That is why this is America last. I wanted Iran to remain, not because I'm a Muslim, not because I'm a cheerleader for the Iranian regime, but because Iran balanced Israel. And balance benefits the United States. Why? Because it gives us leverage to put our finger on the scale. But if there is no balance and Israel has free reign, then where does our leverage go? They become a regional hegemon and they push us out. And then they are free to pursue an independent foreign policy and their own goals, and we will have no say in that matter. And that is not in our interest. So I wanted Iran to remain. That is a counterweight to Israel. And you know what? If Israel has a nuclear arsenal, maybe Iran should have had one too. Maybe the Ayatollah should have been building a nuclear bomb instead of writing about whatever it was, Black Lives Matter on Twitter. Maybe he should have built a nuke and gone all the way. What's the outcome now? But these are incompetent people, as we saw with Hezbollah, as we saw with Hamas and the Houthis. They were a paper tiger, and so was Iran, the source of them all. Maybe they should have built a nuclear bomb. If Israel has 300 nuclear bombs and they wage war on their neighbors and they threaten the United States, what's one more in the region to balance it out?
Yeah, and I disagree slightly because I mean, obviously I don't want Iran to have nukes. I don't trust Iran. I don't trust the regime. But at the same time, the idea that the war hawks have been painting, they say that if Iran had a nuclear weapon, they would just shoot it at Israel and they would shoot it at the United States. We're supposed to take the war hawks' word on that. We're supposed to say, oh, because they're Muslim and because they're radical, that they're just crazy animals that will just send a nuke. Iran will just send a nuke because they send suicide bombers, so they're just going to send a nuke. I actually kind of disagree with that. I think if Iran did have nuclear missiles, which God forbid they did, but if they did, I don't think they're going to send a nuke. Why would they want to end the world? The Ayatollah is obviously arrogant and power hungry. The leader of Iran sends other people to die for him. You don't see the leader of Iran put a bomb on him and do a suicide bomb. He doesn't want to kill himself. He doesn't want to die. So I don't think Iran would really even shoot a nuclear bomb, even if they had it. Now, I think it's in America's best interest for them to not have one. But at the same time, I do agree with Nick that balance in the Middle East seems better. The leverage is gone. You work with Iran and you work with Israel to keep the Middle East balanced. Now, if Israel just controls the whole Middle East and they continue lobbying our politicians, who's to say that they don't send a nuke? Israel can nuke Iran. I don't think they would, but you know, the odds of Israel nuking Iran is the same odds, in my opinion, of Iran nuking Israel. That's just my take on it. I could be 100% wrong, but that's what the war hawks say. They say if Iran had nuclear weapons, they would shoot it at the U.S. They say that with full confidence, and we're supposed to just trust them. I don't know if I trust the war hawks, guys. I'm just going to end it on this last clip because this last clip kind of sums up what I've been saying, but obviously Nick's is way more read up on Middle East history. I am a little rusty on my Middle Eastern history. If I got anything wrong, please put it in the comments and correct me, because I am not a foreign policy expert. I am not a historian. I'm just a guy that is monitoring the situation. So let's just listen to this last clip and then we'll wrap it up.
Famously, Tucker Carlson challenged Ted Cruz, who was in favor of an operation like this, and said, how many people live in Iran? And Ted Cruz had no idea. And he dismissed that and said, that's trivia. That's a trivial detail. What does it matter how many people live there? Well, it actually matters quite a bit, because a country 3 times the size of Iraq, with 90 million people and 1 million soldiers, is not actually going to be subdued by bombs. What happens the day or the week after Iran's military is utterly destroyed? Well, probably chaos breaks out. Probably people are going to try to flee, and the borders are going to destabilize. Probably people are going to rush to the stores and try to stock up on essentials, which will cause the economy to effectively collapse. There will be looting. There will be chaos. There will be a lapse in critical infrastructure, public services. You're looking at the bottom falling out from the country. And that will actually create a vacuum. It will actually embolden and buttress the Iranian security force, because there will be a need for order and only that force will be able to provide it. What's more, here's the other problem with this. So Iran's security force is going to be there, attacking Iran, bombing all their cities, killing potentially hundreds, maybe thousands of civilians. What effect does that have on the resolve of Iranians and of the Iranian political leadership? If it's a remnant of the Iranian security forces, who is to say that these people, the survivors who just watched their friends, colleagues, leaders, spiritual figures get murdered in a war of aggression, who is to say those people are now going to roll over for the United States? Perhaps that works in Venezuela, a much smaller country in terms of territory and population, ruled over by corrupt people with no real ideology, not religious zealots, not even particularly nationalistic, maybe not even ideological anymore, but just plutocrats, just crony socialists or something. Maybe that works in Venezuela, where they're more worried about their personal enrichment or survival. But in Iran, a regime that is literally created by religious police, secret police, a vanguard revolutionary paramilitary with an eschatological opinion and interpretation of their own country and its role in the future of the universe, who is to say that the remnant of that security service is not going to be more hardcore than what came before? Who's to say that they will not be more emboldened and their resolve won't be hardened after the strikes? And maybe they don't negotiate then. So what happens the day after? Obviously, then this remnant, whether they're in favor or against the United States, they will seek to rebuild. Just as the Iranian regime after Midnight Hammer began to rebuild the nuclear infrastructure and their missile capability, You have to imagine that the remnant of the Iranian security forces is going to try to rebuild also. It may be a much taller order and basically impossible, but we have to entertain the scenario, maybe the most likely scenario, that hardliners come to power, they retain control of the country rather than an uprising of the people, and they go to work building more missiles and the military. So what does the United States do then? Do they allow Iran to keep going? Do they allow Iran to rebuild and reconstitute on a long enough timeline? Maybe not in months or weeks, but over the course of many years. Obviously not.
Yeah, guys, he broke it down way better than I could. But it's more complicated than the war hawks are trying to portray. The war hawks are acting like we're just going to go in and it's going to be successful and Trump's going to be the next greatest president. They're already saying he's succeeded. They're already saying he's better than Reagan. They want to put his face on the Mount Rushmore. But for the rest of us Americans, we're not fans of this war, guys. At least I'm not. The ones that are, the ones that support this war, that disagree with me, please mention it in the comments. Give me your best argument and we can discuss it going forward. Maybe you'll change my mind. Maybe by my next video, I'm going to be with the Warhawks. Probably not, but you know, I'm open-minded on a lot of this stuff. So again, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and share, and hit the bell on my YouTube at Townsley R. Follow me on X at Ryan Townsley. And here's my YouTube page, Townsley R. This is Townsley R signing out. Bye-bye.